Imagine you're a woman in your 20s, which, according to the demographic data I get, is perhaps possible if you're watching this on TikTok, but very unlikely if you're watching this on YouTube. And I was like, hey, how's it going, beautiful? One way you may respond is very sensibly reporting me to my employer and getting me fired. But you might also wonder, is there a single Japanese word to describe this unpleasant experience? Well, yes, there is, and it's oji attack, which is also sometimes written like this, with the G as a G, but from chi. I hope this introduction was amusing rather than inappropriate, and if I missed the mark, I apologize. Anyway, an oji attack is a Japanese term which is getting a lot of popularity these days, and combines the oji from oji-san, which literally, of course, means like an uncle, but can also be an older man, and very commonly, as in things like oji-san koubun, refers to a lecherous old man who inappropriately approaches younger women. And then the other word is attaku, which is an attack. If it upsets you that they're using that word instead of kougeki or something like that, you are very welcome to make an unfunny video and post it on the internet. Fortunately, an oji attack is not actual physical attack, but rather just when an older man approaches a younger woman with a romantic advance that is unwanted and quite often done in a way which is inappropriate, such as a context like a nomikai or a method such as a phone number which has been exchanged for work purposes that is inappropriate. Now, this word has become more and more popular over the last few years, which hopefully is not related to an increase in these actual actions, but rather just a lot of people liking the fact that there is now a single word to describe this phenomenon that has probably existed since the beginning of time. And by recently, I mean like in the last year, more or less, as a literal Wikipedia page for this was created in May of 2026. Abema made a video about it just at the beginning of 2026. It saw coverage just like a month or so ago on Yahoo and other Japanese major news sites. And there's even some articles like this one from last year which go into like really specific detail about the conditions of an oji attack, stating that specifically the guy has to be older than 35 and the woman has to be at least 8 years younger, which I mean, I guess works for that age, but seems a bit overly specific. Like if you're 60 and you talk to someone who's 52, I don't think that's like an inherently problematic age gap, but yeah, okay. But because of all this, again, we have this Google Trends chart, which shows us this massive increase in interest in the word. And while all of these articles describing this thing do have their differences, generally the Abema video which introduces it kind of gets to the main gist that you see in all the descriptions, which is basically that a middle-aged man convinces themselves that younger women have interest in them, even though they don't, and therefore approaches them at a time, place, occasion, or via a method which is not appropriate, and also unwelcome. The Abema description you're looking at right now specifically says that the old man makes the mistaken understanding that they are hot, or sexy, however you want to translate ikeru, and then forcibly, right, goin approaches. So what caused oji attack to actually rise in the public discourse around, say, 2025 or so? Well, let's try to trace the timeline here. Because actually this word in the G spelling has existed since 2018, but back then it actually just referred to like older men literally attacking something like a volleyball. During this early period in oji attack's life, there was actually even a kind of buzz term of mobu oji attack, which appeared quite a bit. This seems to relate to video games because mobu are like enemies, nondescript enemies, or in real life nondescript people. So it could be like a bunch of nondescript older men bothering you, but there's no real context in any of these and I couldn't figure it out. Sorry, this oji couldn't attack this problem. And so this sort of use of the OG version continues for quite some time without any clear hits regarding the meaning we're currently using. But if we switch to the Chi-G spelling, we actually see the first hits in 2023. And here, while there are hits that don't match, like this one, wherein people talk about being bumped by old men who aren't really like looking around or paying attention. So not like a sexual thing, but just like an invasion of physical space due to proximity. In this same year, in September, I was able to find tweets of people clearly talking about oji attack as a romantic thing, as in the post you're looking at, wherein somebody says that they went to a dating site and they were able to avoid oji attack because the dating site did not allow older men to contact women that were younger than them. So to use their words, they made it through without receiving any attacks from oji. So from around 2023 then, we then start to see both spellings start to be used in the way that we're using it now. But what caused them to boost up in popularity? Well, it's just a tweet. The account Epichan, a serial poster on the Japanese Twitterverse with over 300,000 followers, found a blog post that used this term and reposted it with a screenshot in June of 2025, getting over 30,000 likes. And this blog, interestingly, uses the same exact 8-year age gap that we saw in the earlier article, so it seems like a lot of places just stole this text for their own text, which is, it's the internet in 2026. The robots are stealing our content jobs. What'll we do? So yeah, if this Epichan person hadn't found this kind of obscure blog post, would we be using this term? Would I be making a video on this term? Maybe not. But now it exists, and I honestly imagine it will have some kind of longevity, as the phenomenon that it describes is certainly not new. And again, unfortunately, it certainly doesn't seem to be going away. Although if you're male and my age, we can all do our part to help that by not participating in it, especially if you're living in Australia like I am, as together we can reduce the amount of oji attaku to 0.